coming from the Burnham camp that he may well announce this week that drilling can go ahead in the Jackdaw and Rosebank fields in the North Sea. Where do you stand on that? Is that the right move? Because as we've already heard on the programme, that may not bring down people's bills.
No, I think you're absolutely right on that, Gary. I think Reform and the Conservatives are basically seeming to suggest that a lack of drilling in the North Sea and indeed the supplements that are put on people's energy bills for our transition away from fossil fuels are what's responsible, and that is absolutely not the case. The reality is the Jackdaw and Rosebank developments would make a very minimal impact in terms of oil and gas within Scotland and the wider UK. The reality is it's what's happening in the Middle East and elsewhere that is having the biggest impact. And that's why it's actually really important that we continue to work to transition away from fossil fuels, because that is the way that we maintain our energy security, because it's that volatility of the overall market, and for example the gas market is part of that, that has created the increase in bills that we have seen.
But it's interesting, well, part of the volatility, absolutely, and you mentioned, the war on the continent of Europe between Russia and Ukraine, and that has affected the gas market because, of course, we were reliant on imports of gas, some of coming from Russia. The argument here is that if we did drill in the North Sea or did more drilling in the North Sea, then we could have our own sustainable supply.
I think we have to accept that the North Sea is a declining basin. When we look at what is happening out there, I worked for a short time in military resettlement 10, 12 years ago, and looking to support service leavers into the sector. But even then, there was a recognition that decommissioning was becoming a much bigger part of the mix. So I think we need to be really careful as politicians that we don't get ourselves into a situation where we're talking about drilling in the North Sea and investing in renewables as an either-or situation. We're going to need oil and gas in mix for decades to come in terms of how we operate, and a big part of that is because we need to support people to move away from fossil fuels. And until the Scottish Government really deliver from a just transition in terms of EV networks, changing housing policies so that we see much more use of renewables, we're going to continue to need those things, and that's why we need to take a much more balanced approach.